We're getting closer. Stay alert.
Yes! Yes!
How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and today we'll be having a look at Catwoman, easily one of the most aggressive Rushdown characters that NetherRealm has ever made. Now with that said, this game's roster is filled to the brim with keep-away characters, and even though a certain DLC character did replace her as the most broken Rushdown character, I still think it's fun to reminisce and talk about this amazing character. So to start things off, I wanted to talk about her overhead, because oddly enough, they got rid of this in Injustice 2, and it's a darn shame because it's very unique. As you can see, it hits twice, and as a result, it does more damage. Pretty much every character in this game has the same damage on their back 3 and their forward 3 at 11%, but as you can see, Catwoman gets 14%, so a bit more damage. And that's a big deal because forward 3 cannot be escaped using the clash system, and as a result, Catwoman has higher guaranteed damage than any other character. And then if you wanted to spin the bar, of course, you're getting even more damage still. I believe she gets around 4% more than every other character. And because her forward 3 does such good damage for only 2 hits, it was also a great way to end really long combos because no matter what, both hits would land. However, that extra damage did come at a cost. In this game, the forward 3s are usually plus on block. However, that is not the case for Catwoman. As you can see, it's -1, which isn't really bad in the grand scheme of things because it is still safe on block by a lot, but it's certainly not plus like most other forward 3s. And because NetherRealm did change her forward 3 in the sequel, it is actually plus on block now. So let me know in the comments which you think is better. Would you rather have more damage or be plus on block? So Catwoman's combo damage was definitely on the high side. Once again, they nerfed this pretty bad in Injustice 2 because she pretty much needs meter to extend her combos in that game. However, as you can see, that's not the case in this game. As long as she kept the opponent standing, she could use Cat Dash to extend combos because look at that, they're in a crumple state. And of course, that's just perfect for a back 3 and the combo just keeps on going. Ooh, look at that. Very, very nice. 35%, and that was a pretty basic combo that didn't cost me any meter. And then if the opponent was airborne, you could always meter burn the Cat Dash. As you can see, the opponent is crumpled once again to extend combos. And best of all, you can do both versions of the Cat Dash in the same combo. Look at that, it still crumples. And as a result, if you had 1 bar of meter, then the combo could go on for a bit longer. And the whole time you're comboing the opponent, you are building Catwoman's trait, and it seems like the game rewards you for mixing things up, so the more different attacks you do, the faster this can build. And you could use the trait whenever you wanted, but it did more damage depending on the number of scratches. And once it was filled completely, you would get the most damaging version of the trait. And as a result, Catwoman may have one of the most natural traits in the entire game because as she's comboing you and playing like she's supposed to, her trait is getting stronger and stronger. And Catwoman could also build this trait by dodging the opponent's high attacks and low attacks as well. So even if you wanted to play keep away, you're actually building her meter in the process. So if you wanted to play keep away against Catwoman, you better be careful because the whole time she's building trait. And even if blocked, this trait is still fantastic. It's only 0 on block regardless of the number of scratches. And once the trait was full, it did some pretty good chip damage. Or put simply, this trait has a low risk and a very high reward. On block, it's pretty good, and on hit, it's fantastic. Honestly, this trait's only downside is the opponent can use the clash system to avoid the follow-up hits, and I think that shouldn't be possible. Mainly because there are other characters like Solomon Grundy whose trait cannot be escaped by the wager system. However, with that said, Solomon Grundy was pretty low tier in this game. But even so, I still don't think the opponent should be able to escape the follow-up hits of her cat scratch. If the player goes through all that trouble to earn the scratches, then I think their damage should be guaranteed. Now in the sequel, this trait is kind of a catch-22. The damage is still great for ending combos, but as you can see, it leaves the opponent really far away, which isn't really ideal for Catwoman. However, once you have the opponent cornered, there is no longer any drawbacks, because not only are you left close, but you're also left at plus 27, which is very nice. And in Injustice 2, you also have the option to meter burn the trait if you had 4 or more scratches, which as you can see does more damage and leaves Catwoman a lot closer, although she's only at plus +4, which is still nice, don't get me wrong, but there's not a ton of stuff you can do when you're only +4. In fact, I would argue the meter burn version is actually better on block, because normally this trait is actually -5 on block in this game, but when you meter burn it, it changes to +5, which is really good because look how close you are to the opponent. You can go for tons of pressure from here. So in summary, Catwoman's trait is both better and worse in Injustice 2. On block, it can be fantastic for pressure as long as you have the meter, and its chip damage is still pretty good. However, unless you have the opponent cornered, it's not a very good way to end combos in many situations. And speaking of keep away, the developers made sure to give Catwoman several ways to get in. So for starters, her meter burn cat dash covers the entire screen, and then on top of that, it's also armored once you meter burn. And as a result, not only could she plow through certain projectiles, but she would also get a full combo started in the process. And once again, NetherRealm did this character dirty in the sequel because the meter burn cat dash no longer has armor, but thankfully there is a universal dash in Injustice 2 that allows her to avoid the projectiles completely. And that likely is why they got rid of the armored option, but I kinda still wish she had it because it's good for more than just projectiles. And Catwoman had more ways to close the gap than just cat dash. She also had amazing range on certain normals. So for example, her jumping 2. Look at the ridiculous range on this thing, and if it lands, I'm pretty sure that forward 1 is always guaranteed. And as a result, it was not uncommon for a Catwoman player to just jump at you and do the whip, because look at the amazing range on this thing, and the opponent can't hit it either and do damage to Catwoman, so it's a great way to hit them without getting hit yourself. And if you thought the range on this whip was crazy, have a look at her sweep. The range on this thing is absolutely ridiculous. It is almost half screen. Now the downside is it's -33 on block, so against certain characters with a far-reaching special move, it was not the best idea. So against an opponent with a far-reaching special move, it was very risky when blocked. Now we've covered a lot about Catwoman already, but next up we have her strings. So for starters, nearly everything Catwoman does is either safe or plus on block. I think she has 2 strings that are punishable, and that's it. And one of them doesn't actually count because she can keep going with it. And not only are nearly all of these strings safe, but they also have mix-ups hidden throughout them. They have overheads and lows, all that crazy stuff. So if you're fighting a Catwoman player, I hope you know all the different mix-ups she has, because there are so many strings for you to memorize. And like I just mentioned, a lot of these were plus on block, and as a result, if Catwoman did down 1 and you tried to challenge it, she would win and get a counter hit. And because so many of these strings leave you close, that was a very real possibility. And then for strings that were minus on block, she could just do the up whip, because this thing is plus on block as well. So even if she did have some strings that were minus, she could just do the up whip. Now thankfully it does hit high, so if you expect it, you can duck under it, but that's very, very risky. Because in this game, every character has the option to just go for a meter burn overhead, and as you can see, that's very hard to react to. And if it catches you ducking, she gets a full combo. And don't forget, her 4-3 is more damaging than everybody else's. And after these long damaging combos, her character was left pretty close to the opponent, and even if she was a bit far away, she was almost always guaranteed a dash in. In fact, if you wanted crazy plus frames, then just end your combo with Tomcat, because this thing is plus 36 on hit, which means you can actually dash forward twice, which is a good idea because it pushes the opponent a bit closer to the corner. And once the opponent is cornered, they can no longer run away. And one more great tool for getting in was her back 3. The range on this thing is absolutely ridiculous, and because she gets so low to the ground, she can go under projectiles and other high attacks of that nature. In fact, she gets so low to the ground that she can even avoid mids as well, and I don't think that was intentional, but it is something really cool that she can do. And as a result, it was not uncommon for players to just do YOLO back 3s all the time. However, just like Catwoman's forward 3, the back 3 did have a bit of a catch. Unlike everybody else's back 3, it is not plus on block. Once again, it's not punishable, but it is -3. And the move behaves very similar in Injustice 2, because unlike the forward 3, the back 3 was not changed. And as a result, it's still not plus on block, but thankfully it's still just as evasive. The opponent's gonna have a really hard time hitting you, and even if they do know what moves can reach you, just spin the bar to armor it and get more damage. In fact, even her forward 3 can duck under high attacks as well, including projectiles. I don't think it avoids mids like the back 3 though. So as you can see, this character is pretty godlike, but she does have some downsides that are worth mentioning. Meter Burn Cat Dash only has 1 hit of armor, and in this game there are characters that fire several projectiles at once, and as a result this tool is not the best for getting in. And the range on her super was also really bad as well, so it's not great for countering keep away, even though it does have some armor. But the good news is you're going to use all of Catwoman's meter for combos anyway, and not her super. And alright everyone, and I think that's about it for my video on Catwoman. As you can see, she is one of the best Rushdown characters that NetherRealm has ever made. The only issue is she she's stuck in Injustice, a game that is dominated by zoners and keep away. However, even so, she is still a force to be reckoned with. In fact, she's even won Evo in Injustice 2, and like I mentioned, she's actually much weaker in that game. So if you own either of the Injustice games and you've never played this character, then I highly recommend giving her a try. She's a ton of fun, the combos are super satisfying, and her rushdown can't be beat. Thanks for watching, and leave a like down below if you enjoyed the video, and while you're down there, finish that combo by suplexing that subscribe button. That way you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.